It's a pleasure to be with President Erdogan of Turkey, and we've been friends for a long time, actually, even for 4 years when I was in exile, unfairly, as it turns out. Rigged election, he knows about rigged elections better than anybody. But when I was in exile, we were still friends. That's always a good way to find out, test of friendship. But he's a highly respected man. He's respected very much in his country and all throughout Europe and throughout the world where they know him. He's built a tremendous military, powerful military, uses a lot of our equipment. And it's an honor to have him at the White House. We're going to have a lunch together. We're going to have a discussion, big discussion. We do a lot of trade with Turkey, and we're going to continue. We're going to do some additional trade. They want to buy F-16s, F-35s, and some other things, and we're going to talk to them about that. And we're just going to have, I think, a very interesting couple of hours. We're going to get a lot done. But I have great respect for this man, and we've had a very good relationship for a long time. If you remember, he let Pastor Brunson, he freed Pastor Brunson. Pastor Brunson was put in jail for 35 years before I got there. This was a group that should have stopped it, and the president, after I called him, released him, which was a great thing for our Christian community, our evangelical community. The evangelicals really wanted that. It was very important to him, so I always remembered that. But he released him from 35 years in prison. And Pastor Brunson now is healthy, happy, and well. And we're very happy about that. But it's a great honor to have the president of Turkey with us. And how are you?
Fine.
Say a few words.
And you?
Great guy.
Öncelikle bu ziyaretimizi Birleşmiş Milletler Genel Kurulu'yla iç içe olan bir dönemde gerçekleştirdiğimizden dolayı arkadaşlarımla beraber çok mutluyuz. Gerek Sayın Trump'ın birinci döneminde gerekse ikinci dönemde Türkiye-Amerika ilişkilerinde farklı bir süreci yaşıyoruz. Kendilerinin de az önce ifade ettiği gibi gerek F-35 konusu, gerek F-16 konusu, gerekse Halk Bankası'yla ilgili aramızdaki ilişkiler konusunu bugün etraflıca görüşme fırsatı bulacağımıza inanıyorum. Heybeliada okuluyla ilgili ise orada üzerimize ne düşerse biz onu zaten yapmaya hazırız. Dönünce de Sayın Bartolomeo'yla bu konuyu görüşme fırsatı bulacağım.
First, Mr. President, I am very pleased that this visit actually coincides with the 80th UNGA. So I am very pleased to be here with my colleagues and friends. And as we have said, during the first term of your presidency and during your second term, we are able to carry Turkey and U.S. relations to a much different level and process. And as you said, we have an opportunity here today to be able to discuss some of the issues regarding the F-35, the F-16, and also the hotspot case, and we will have an opportunity to thoroughly discuss them. And based on what you have mentioned regarding the Heybeliada school, we are ready to do whatever we can that falls on our part, and I will, when I get back, try to discuss this issue with the esteemed Mr. Bartolomos to discuss how we can move forward on that.
Okay, very good. I would like to be able to do that. The Greek Orthodox Church was here, and they would really like to have some help. They need some help, and I said I'd mention it. We appreciate it. So this is a tough man. This is a guy who's highly opinionated. Usually I don't like opinionated people, but I always like this one. But he's a tough one, and he does an amazing job in his country. And we've had tremendous relationships, both having to do with war and having to do with trade. And I guess today we're talking about both. I'd like to have him stop buying any oil from Russia while Russia continues this rampage against Ukraine. And they've been fighting. They've lost millions of lives already. And for what? You know, for what? It's disgraceful. And I said yesterday, let it keep going because their economy is absolutely terrible right now. And I think it's a shame that they're doing that, killing a lot of people unnecessarily. 7,818 people were killed last week, mostly military people, their people and Ukrainians. More Russians actually than Ukraine, a little bit more. But it's such a waste of human life, and so he ought to stop. Putin ought to stop. And with that, we'll get to a little bit of a discussion. We're going to make some great trade deals for both countries. We do a lot of business with Turkey. They build great products. They build beautiful, great products, really fantastic manufacturers. And we buy a lot from them, and they buy a lot from us. Would you have any questions, please?
Called out Obama and Biden administrations for their stupid decisions. One example you gave was the refusal to sell the Patriot missile defense systems to Turkey, which resulted in the expulsion of the country from the F-35 program. Now, you are known to be a great deal maker in Turkey. What can you do to undo the stupidity? Yes,
CNN? Well, because you sounded like a nice guy. CNN is fake news. I mean, but you sound like the real deal to me, so I'll answer the question. We're going to be discussing the Patriot system, which is the best system. We'll discuss that. We're going to discuss the F-35. We'll be discussing all of the things that you know about and that some of that you mentioned. And I think you'll be successful with buying the things he'd like to buy.
What concrete steps can you say?
Well, we haven't even started yet, but I know he wants the F-35, and he's wanted that, and we're talking about that very seriously. And the F-16, we're in great shape. Certain other things he needed, as you know, and I'm going to see to it that we get that to him. He needs certain things, and we need certain things. And we're going to come to a conclusion. You'll know by the end of the day. Go ahead, please.
Siz Başkan Trump'ın ne kadar barış için çabalar gösterdiğini daha önce de söylemiştiniz Cumhurbaşkanısınız. Ve siz de bölgede birçok ülkeyle, birçok liderle görüşmeler, kontaklar kurabiliyorsunuz. Bu konuda birlikte nasıl çalışabilirsiniz gelecekte?
Buna inandığım için zaten bunları söylüyorum. Birlikte el ele bölgedeki bu sıkıntıları aşacağımıza da inanıyorum.
Mr. President,
Because I haven't read the language yet. What did he say?
The gentleman was asking, Mr. President, you have referred to President Trump's peace efforts, and you have also contact with many leaders in the region. And what do you think that you can do about this? And Mr. President has said that, yes, I believe in the peace efforts that President Trump is leading, and together we will be able to overcome the challenges in the region.
I think it's true. He's got tremendous influence in the region. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, when are you planning to lift cuts sanctions against Turkey?
Against sanctions against Turkey? Could be very soon. If we have a good meeting, almost immediately.
Mr. President, are you willing to impose tougher sanctions and removing tariffs on U.S. goods? And what impact it would be in U.S. production?
Where are you from?
Turkey.
I see. We have a lot of people from Turkey. Because I like the questions very much, actually. They're very nice questions. And we'll see about tariffs. We're going to be talking about tariffs.
You already removed that.
Well, we're going to be talking about that.
Tougher sanctions on Russia, even if not all NATO countries stop purchasing Russian oil?
We're going to be seeing about that. The NATO countries were disappointing in that regard, but they've been very amazing in other ways. They did, as you know, they went from 2% to 5% GDP, and that's a big step, and it's paid. I mean, they have the money there. We're selling a tremendous amount of military equipment to NATO. We're selling. We're not giving like Biden did. We're selling it to NATO, and it's a lot. They're buying a lot. I assume they're giving it to Ukraine. They could buy it for other reasons too, but I assume they're giving most of it to Ukraine. But they're buying highly sophisticated weaponry, and they're paying for it full price. And that's how we're involved. Biden gave $350 billion. Look, this war would have never started if I were president. If I were president, this war would never be happened. It would have never happened. Yeah.
Mr. President, I'd like to talk about Gaza. Are you on the same page, Mr. Erdogan, for Palestine, Israel?
Well, I don't know his stance. I can't tell you about that. I just say that we want to get Gaza over. I had a great meeting with the leaders of that area, of that region, generally speaking, the Middle East. We had a great meeting the other day at UNGA, as you know, and I think we're close to getting some kind of a deal done. You know, we want to get the hostages back. I have to get the hostages back. We're the ones that got the hostages, all of them that we have now. But it looks like there are 20 living hostages and probably 38 or so dead hostages. Pretty sad. And the parents of those dead souls, those dead, mostly men, boys, in many cases like literally boys, they want those bodies back so badly, as much as though they were alive. And so we had a very good meeting with the representatives of the most powerful countries in the Middle East, and I think we're going to be close to a deal.
We've noticed that in the Ukrainian war and during the Israeli-Iran war, the airspace of the NATO countries is very fragile and it needs to be stronger. And in that sense, Turkey being the second largest army in NATO, it needs to support its air force and air defense. How do you look at this issue in general as a NATO? Because it's the eastern flank of it.
We're in NATO, and you know, they're paying now 5% of GDP. Nobody thought that was possible, and they agreed to that 6 months ago when I was there. And the relationship is very good. The NATO countries, with us, is the strongest it's ever been. We used to complain that they're paying 2%, but they're not paying. The United States was paying almost everything. And now they're paying 5%, and they pay. And that's trillions of dollars. You know, we're talking about trillions of dollars. And they're spending that, giving that money to us, and we are giving them great defensive, you know, the Patriots and all of the different javelins, all the different missile systems and everything else that they want. But it's, you know, it's trillions of dollars. So we appreciate that they did that. So they went from 2% to 5% of GDP, and that was something that nobody even would bring up. Biden should have brought it up a long time ago. Because under Biden, we paid $350 billion, and all it did is make things worse. So we'll see. I'm going to just finish. Yeah, go ahead.
35 fighter jets, F-35.
We're talking about the fighter jets for Turkey. Yes, we are.
Are we going to see any studies going to be taken today about the issue, about the things that are going on in the Gaza Palestine? Are we going to
It could be today. Yeah, it could be today. We have a very strong dialogue going on with Saudi Arabia. With, I would say, you have 4 or 5 real leaders that are being good. As you know, I met with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE. We met with Jordan. The King of Jordan was there. We had a really great meeting. I think a lot was determined at that meeting. And I have to meet with Israel, and I have to do that also. They know what I want, and I think we can get that one done. I hope we can get it done. A lot of people are dying. But we want the hostages back. We don't want them back 1 this week, 1 in 2 months from now, 3 later, and you know, like the way it's been going. We got them all back. We got a lot of them back. We got the American Alexander. We got the American hostages back. But we have now 20 plus 38 bodies, dead bodies, and we want them all back. And we want them back at one time.
the hostages?
Do I think what?
Do you think President Erdogan will have to release the hostages?
I don't know if it'll help in that. I don't really think we have. I don't think it'll be necessary in this case. I think we're going to be in a pretty good position. There are a lot of people that want that done. I met with great leaders. Look, over, and you saw the people that were there. And great leaders. Egypt was also represented. We met with the leaders of that part of the world, and they want to see if they can get something done. And I'm going to have to tell Israel, let's go. We want to get the hostages back. Everybody wants to see that war over with, by the way. Everybody. So we're going to see what happens.
Mr. President.
How do you see a joint initiative with President Erdogan to bring the President of Russia, Putin, and President Zelensky to the negotiating table?
Well, I can tell you that President Erdogan is very respected by both of them. Everybody respects Erdogan. They really respect Erdogan. I do. And I think he could have a big influence if he wants to. Right now, he's very neutral. He likes being neutral. So do I like being neutral. But he's somebody that if he got involved, the best thing he could do is not buy oil and gas from Russia. If he did that, that would be probably the best thing. He knows Putin like I know Putin. I thought Putin, I settled, as you know, 7 wars, and it's probably more than that if you really want to know the real facts, but 7 wars, and I thought this would be among the easier ones to settle. But I'm very disappointed in Putin. And he's been fighting hard, he's been fighting long, and they lost millions, they lost like 1 million soldiers. And you know, with all of the heavy bombardment over the last 2 weeks, they've gained almost no land. Think of that. They've gained almost no land. And I'm not going to ever call anybody a paper tiger, but Russia spent millions and millions of dollars in bombs, missiles, ammunition, and lives, their lives, and they've gained virtually no land. I think it's time to stop, I really do.
A few months ago, you met with Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up?
So where?
You met with Aliyev and Pashinyan, Azerbaijan President Aliyev and Pashinyan. Can you follow up on what you want to say about current
No,
process?
I can't. I like this guy. I like him. He's from CNN. Fake news, the worst fake news, but I like him. So it's CNN Turkey.
Syria has been a major issue between the 2 countries for the past decade. And you said the future of Syria is in Erdogan's hands back in, I think, December and January. And the countries are in the process of integrating lethal fractures into the main government. When do you want to see that happen?
Well, I think President Erdogan is the one responsible for Syria, for the successful fight in ridding Syria of its past leader. And I think this man is responsible. He doesn't take the responsibility, but it's actually a great achievement. They've been trying to do it for 2,000 years. I said, he does it, he did it. I mean, they're your surrogates. I think you should take the credit for it. I told him, take the credit. For 2,000 years you've been trying to take over Syria. He took over Syria and he doesn't want to take the credit. You know, all of those people are his surrogates. But the leader of Syria, the new leader, as you know, I took sanctions off in order to let them breathe because the sanctions were very strong. But I think we should have a major announcement today. He was responsible for that victory. It was a victory for Turkey because they've been fighting, as you know, for like 1,000 years. And it never went, you know, it was back and forth, but he's responsible for that. So he would have a lot to say with respect to Syria. But at his request, I took, and the request also of the King of Saudi Arabia, very interesting, and Qatar. They said, if you could take the sanctions, we had very strong sanctions. I don't know, they couldn't have lived with those sanctions, and I took them off to give them a chance to breathe. But the president was one of the people that was responsible for that. He asked me to do it.
Why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time?
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years, even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now, but the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders, take a look at that. Big thing, they want to open borders again. After what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions, drug dealers, drug addicts, everything. They're putting everybody into our country. It's all ended now. But this is what Schumer wants, this is what the Democrats want. They want to have, and they want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers, who are, for a little while, going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape because we're taking in a lot of money. We're finding. The other day, it was very interesting, they found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning, they said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But it's a process of, it has to kick in. All right, maybe one more.
There was another shooting at an ICE facility in Texas yesterday. Detainees were killed. The FBI director posted on social media bullets that were engraved with the message anti-ICE. He just posted another thing on social media saying they recovered a handwritten note from the subject that read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? Who do you hold responsible for the uptick with left-wing violence in the country?
Radical left rhetoric. The radical left is causing the problem. They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett, I look at some of these people, they're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem. Not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left. But the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized, because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and it gets worse. It gets worse, and it'll be a point where other people won't take it anymore, and that will not be good for the radical left. And we don't want that. Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, it seems like an indictment of James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people, headed up by the Attorney General, Todd Blanche, and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And, but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow, that's the news conference. I don't know what we got out of it. I guess that he's going to come back on and he's going to enlighten people about the talks. I don't know if people know how important this meeting is between the United States and Turkey. You know, Turkey, they borderline with the Black Sea. And they are positioned, first of all, they have the second, I think, largest military next to the United States in NATO. So they are very important to the United States of America. They counter terrorism, but they have great relationships with Russia, and they have relationships with Ukraine. So where they're situated at, we even have a base that we use, because of Turkey. And because of their location is vital with the wars that are going on between Russia, Gaza, Ukraine, I mean, Russia and Ukraine and Gaza and Israel. So they really play an important part. And I think a lot of this is going to be about weapons and the tyrants that we placed on Turkey. But they're very much needed for the success of the United States as well, because you have to look at Russia, which I'm more concerned about their relationships, especially after that World Leaders Summit that they have with President Xi of China, North Korea, and India. Those are powerhouses. Those countries are the second and third or whatever, fourth strongest military countries in the world. They are nuclear powered countries. And what does the EU have? And you have even Turkey buying Russian oil. You have the EU buying Russian oil. So the sanctions that the United States try to place on Russia, I don't think it means anything. Because the people that should be making it difficult for Russia, everyone that's supposed to be fighting Russia, they are going along with purchasing Russian oil. So there's a big history with Turkey. They are extremely important to the United States of America. But, of course, they want to buy our weapons. And I don't know how the meeting's going to go with Trump, but we need to be allies. They are a part of NATO. And I think that we spend a lot of times with all this implosion going on in the United States, all this divide, even by our president. He has to stop talking about radical left. Whether you like them or not, you're the president of all Americans. You're the president of all Americans, whether they voted for him, whether they didn't, whether they're non-voters, whether they voted for Democrat leadership. He still is the president, and he has to conduct himself that way. And we have bigger battles to fight outside of this country. Now, right now, Pete Hegseth has called a meeting with all of the generals, all of the admirals, over 800 of them. So what is going on secretly that the Department of Defense of War, Secretary of War, has called a meeting involving all of our generals, admirals, of all of those, military that are, running, I guess, our military, that he's calling a meeting with them in Virginia. So something else is going on. And this is during the visit with the Turkish president. So a lot of stuff that's going on that we don't know about, but you got to really follow the tea leaves and see what's going on outside of it, because I haven't heard of a president doing I guess a non-war time that we're calling for all of our generals, all of our admirals, and all of them to have a meeting. So what is going on? And it's being done secretly.
Leroy,
so that's a question for you guys.
Leroy said this wouldn't have happened if Kamala was president.
I plead the fifth on that.
Other things would have happened.
We're past that. We are here now today, 9 months into Trump's presidency. And we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. All we know is what the media is telling us, which does a disservice to the people, because the media, they don't ask the right questions. They're not asking about why. They should know about that meeting. Why didn't they ask the president? Why are they meeting? What is going on? What is the relationship with Turkey? And what is it that he's trying to accomplish in the meeting that he's having with the president of Turkey?
Well, Trump doesn't actually take a paycheck for being president. He's like one of the only ones.
Yeah, it was only 2 presidents in the United States history that didn't take a paycheck, and Trump is one of them.
Yeah.
And I forget who the other one was, but Trump is one of the presidents that he doesn't get paid for what he's doing. But he has to. So I think that there are bigger problems going on that we're not focused on, because they keep trying to act like Russia is weak or somehow, but they're stronger than Ukraine. They are stronger than Ukraine because they have nuclear powers. That makes them stronger than Ukraine. And then they have the backing of China that has 1 billion people, and the backing of President Un, North Korea. He's radical, and India. So we have issues. We need to be coming together as a country and work together and stop continuing to divide this country. And it's a lot of that that's going on. And this is not the time for it because we got other things that's lurking right now that I don't think that Russia's going to stop. They have entered into Poland, dropping drones on Poland. So they're trying to invade more, and we haven't seen what they're capable of because they are attacking at Ukraine at a higher rate after Trump met with Putin. And I think that the more he acts like he's buddy with Zelensky all of a sudden, they like BFFs now. That I don't know what they're saying, what the conversation has been between them, but Putin is watching this. And it looks like Trump is buddying up with his adversary to him. Now, if you want to be a mediator, you and anybody that's been in any kind of been in a union or whatever, and you have your mediators that bring both sides together, you don't want to show favoritism to either side. So if you're showing all this favoritism towards Ukraine, they have said that they thought that after Trump had the meeting with Vladimir Putin, that they were going to set up right away for Zelensky and Trump would be there if he was requested. And all of the EU came together and said, yeah, that they all met at the White House just maybe a few weeks ago. And they said they wanted Trump there. But where's the meeting at? Where's the meeting at? The longer that it takes for them to come together, it really lessens the chance of a ceasefire. It lessens the chance of the end of this war. And I think meanwhile, they are plotting and planning against the United States of America because we're the only powerhouse that's standing in the way of Russia and China being taken over as the world powers. But together, if they come together, I believe that will make them stronger than the United States of America. We're stronger fighting them individually, but we're not stronger fighting them all together. And who do we have? Turkey? Poland? The EU?
Zelensky was smiling.
So we need to look at what's going on. They need to have been asking questions about what's going on with all these generals and admirals. If I know this information, they should know this information. What's behind the meetings? What does Trump plan on accomplishing? Because we need Turkey because the Black Sea. We need Turkey. They play a vital role in NATO, and they are a part of NATO. So I don't know what's going to come out, but I think that things are going on behind the scenes, and there's a reason for the Secretary of War to call all the generals and admirals to meet. There's a reason behind that. I have never heard of that happening, especially during a time a non-war time. There's no war going on. What's happening? Are we preparing for something in the near future that they weren't prepared the troops? That's what it seemed like. I don't know. Because you need all of them to prepare the troops. Like, what's on the horizon? And like when Trump gets on and he's talking about other things and name calling and talking about the left, he bring up Jasmine Crockett. Jasmine Crockett, look, I didn't even know till Benny Johnson, and he's a right-wing YouTuber, when he went to our hometown and everything. She's not ghetto. She went to some of the most prestigious schools that you can imagine to attend. She's an actress. That's an act. That act like she's ghetto. She's a extremely intelligent young woman. Yeah. She's intelligent. That's an act. There's so many actors in Congress that you can't tell who they are. The language and the way they address each other, you think that they are street thugs, the way they talk to one another now. They curse, the language. You wouldn't even think that they have an education. The way that they carry themselves. I don't expect them to act like Boo Boo the Clown in Congress. I expect them to have a level of maturity and intellect and discipline that you don't see coming from, say, some of your everyday people that don't have the type of positions that they have. We expect a lot from those who we elected to serve us, and I certainly don't expect them to be behaving like they are not as educated as they are. So, but I think the name calling and the things that's happening is like one side of the news is being shown, just like another young white guy shot at, the detainees. I believe he killed 2 of them. I had to look at what's going on at the ICE facility. And, he's not talking about the crimes that are going on. And like white on white crime and things like that. He's not talking. That is an epidemic in this country that's being swept under the rug and is happening on a daily basis. And these are all Americans. We have to address what's happening inside of this country for all the people. And one thing I realized that once whatever's going on behind the scenes, and I don't know, we're on the verge of war or whatever, but it looks like we are literally closer to the World War III that I thought that we perhaps were going to avoid. This is the first time I'm really feeling like we are coming to the point that it might become a reality if we don't have cool head leaders and people that are not sensitive, people who really want the best for the American people. Because instead of Ukraine going over there fighting the wars, it'll be our young people that will be fighting these wars. Then they will have United States citizens, and that's what the EU wants. That's what Zelensky wants. They want everything to become our war. They want us to fight, but we can't fight this by ourselves. So we do need the cooperation of Turkey, because they have, I think, the second strongest military in NATO, next to the United States of America. So this meeting, whether you realize it or not, is very important. And the reason why that we take the time to show videos of Trump is because we need to know what our president is saying. All Americans, we need to be paying attention to what's going on. This is something I never have done. We need to know what's going on. We need to listen so that then we can have an opinion and we can analyze our stuff ourselves. And if we think that they are lying, we can fact check them ourselves. We have all these search engines now outside of the media that's biased and does a disservice to the people. Yes. Even some of the questions they ask, the ones that want to kiss up to Trump, they ask these questions, and then the ones that want to be called on and don't want to be name called, they cave. We want them to put their focus on serving the people. They did the same thing with Biden administration. He didn't even do interviews. So I thank God that Trump has some transparency. We could thank God for that. And that's what we should, expect from all of our leaders that are elected to office. They need to answer to us, and they need to do their job.
Yeah, a lot of politicians stay quiet when they're in office. You don't know what they're doing.
They stay quiet. You don't know. And they're voting behind the scenes, and they're voting for stuff that you don't support. Yeah. But they're voting for their whatever they're receiving for their votes. Who knows? Or maybe a bigger position in cabinet. I don't know. But deals are made all the time. But we want them to be made on our behalf, because you can't separate America. The laws and everything that are exercised affect all of us, regardless who you voted for, regardless if you voted for a Republican or Democrat, non-voter, if you didn't vote at all, everything affects all of us. So it matters, and that's why we put him on to see what's going on, to listen to what he has to say. And the majority of things we do agree, but when we don't agree, and like we said from the beginning, before we had any disagreements, no one agrees with anyone about everything, and neither do we. And we're going to stand on business. We agree with Trump a lot of what he has done since taking office, but there are things that we don't agree with, and we do speak out about it, because we're not mainstream media. We're not Fox News. We're not all these other MSNBC. We are everyday American citizens. And thank God we do have freedom of speech. Thank God that we can have a voice of the people, that we can speak how we feel about how things are being handled without being one-sided. One-sided. It doesn't work like that.
Saint said, love to see a smart, beautiful black woman speaking like it. This is a breath of fresh air.
I really appreciate it. But my goal, if I was in office, is to bring us together. Bring us together, because I just feel like we need one another more than any time. We already went through these open borders. We've already allowed people to come into this country that would have never been allowed in this country. So we don't know what else is going to happen because of the results of the open borders as of yet. But we have people here that we would not have allowed in here. That could perhaps be a danger to American citizens. And then we got what's going on, which is more important, outside of this country. So I just want you guys to just be mindful. I go and I have my subscription with Ground News, because they show how the right and they show the left. They show both sides. They're non-biased. And that's the best way to be. I have always voted Democrat straight down ballot. I'm a Black woman, and I voted for a Republican president as well. So I'm like all over. I'm both scopes. So what I say is important. And it's the temperature of my community, how we're feeling and why we have voted the way we have voted, and why our vote has changed and moved to Republican, and how the Republicans can actually lose the Black vote if they continue the road that following the example of some of the Democratic leaders. And I see some of that happening.
Yes.
And there's an unrest in this country.
Even those guys went to the HBCU.
Yeah, it's an unrest. And we put up a video. Look at our video yesterday about the, what's their name? The debaters.
Oh, the
fearless debaters,
fearless
and all of that. They're trying, they only was getting 1,000 views on their channel. That's it. But you go to HBCUs trying to cause chaos on campus. The students are minding their own business. So since they're not going to come to you, the Black students, you're going to come to them unannounced, without a permit, disrespecting the campus and the students. And then when they react, then they flip the switch. Look how they're behaving. They're behaving the way that you knew that they would, because you were uninvited. Nobody wanted to have a conversation with you. And so you're going to impose yourself, and then you're going to have signs up trying to degrade the community that you're trying to speak to. So here they're trying to get a higher education and be role models and up their game to be what you say the society wants you to become, but you're there antagonizing these students while they're trying to learn whatever professions that they want, that they're majoring in. And that's not right. Now you're making money off of it. Now you're getting viewers. It's all about clickbait. It's all about podcasting. It's all about how can I make more money off the backs of disturbing and going after people that aren't bothering you, don't want to talk to you. So I'm going to do a follow-up on that, because I don't like what had happened with that. I think that it was intentional. They wanted to degrade them, and then they wanted to flip it, look at how they're behaving. They're reacting because they don't like you. They didn't want you there, and you didn't even have permission to come there. They weren't even prepared for you. And nobody said they wanted to debate you about what. Yeah. They're not even interested in DEI and all that. They're there learning. They're college students. They're not focused on you trying to make a name for your podcast. Now they got to GoFundMe. They done raised $43,000 since yesterday. This is crazy.
All the comments.
Now, if Black people go to a white college and they do the same thing, now they weren't hurt or touched, but let them go sit up something and they go to questions like, why are you removing Black history out of Smithsonian? What are white people so afraid of when it comes to Black people? Just different stuff, but we would never do that. We don't do that. That I'm saying, the same token. And then if they were beaten up or even killed, people would be saying, well, they never should have went there. Why would they go to a white college? And that was just trying to stir up trouble. That would be the headlines. Why did they go there? This is what they want. They got what they deserve. That 1,000%. So anyway, I think that the president needs to bring the communities together. We need to come together, is my point. And what people say does matter. And it sets the tone for the entire country. And we have to understand that even though we can agree to disagree, that's called civil, we won't be civil about it, but you got to have the civil conversations. Because how else are we going to solve the problems that are happening in this country, and it's being pushed by the media? And they're good at what they do. They're good at teaching us how to think. So hopefully, you know, in the future, our president will see that it's more beneficial for the country that he is serving for all the people, so that we can stop the rhetoric, we can stop all the finger pointing, and we can actually serve us. Because we want better futures, we want better housing, we want a better economy, we want inflation to go down, we want so many things for not just our generations, but our children's generations. And we want a country that is prospering to leave to our kids. It's not just about us. It's about the future of this country. So anyway, you guys, we're gonna jump on. I will be coming back on live with another subject. Elijah, I cannot read what you were pointing at. You see from a distance.
No, I was just pointing at, get your take on it, because Ozzy, one of our moderators, said there are no white colleges.
Well, predominantly, there's no name, like HBCUs are technically black colleges, but anybody can go there. But predominantly, they're more of black students than any other ethnicity. That's how people look at the HBCUs. So then you have colleges, say like in Utah, which is mostly a white state, where Charlie Kirk was at, is a predominantly white college. Anyone can go there, but my example is that was predominantly there. You know, just like you have some places in this country that are predominantly white towns or white states. It's more of a population. And then you have some states or cities that's more populated by black. That's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm saying. We want everybody to be blended and mixed up together. You know, we're not about segregation. But when you go into certain environments that you know that are more predominantly one race, then that's sort of, and you go there trying to degrade the people, that's going to cause chaos. And you're going to antagonize them. That's what's going to cause the kids or the children, especially unexpected, no permit, uninvited. You didn't respect the college to even go and obtain a permit to even come on the grounds to even talk to the students. The students want to be in a safe environment. They didn't want, that caused chaos. And then it's flipped. They look at them, they're a mob, they're this, they're college students at college being degraded and attacked by people that didn't even have a permit to be on the college grounds, to even have permission to speak to the students. Their parents are not paying these school tuitions to send their kids. Like, it's like the fight did come to them. They not trying to fight Charlie Kirk or Turning Point USA. They're just there going to school, seeking a higher education. They're not focused, children, kids, college, they're not focused on all of this that's going on. They're trying to get good grades in school.
You got black YouTubers going against the HBCU.
You know, so, and you there are channels. You even have people that goes against the black. You always have black people to go against black people. That's how they make their money on YouTube. We're not them.
Yeah.
We're going to speak the truth because we want everyone to come together. You talk about the gangs and try to label a segment of people that aren't thugs. Everybody got thugs in their community. We could go through every community and we could say, okay, they're a thug, they're a criminal, and they're violent. We can do that for every community. You can't just take one community and say that. But when you have people that are trying to achieve a higher level of education, let them learn. You don't want them to so-called be ghetto, like you said. It's ghettos in every community. From the Hispanic to the white to the black community, there are ghettos in every community.
No, it's different when you're being harassed.
And uninvited.
Yeah.
No permit, and you're just going to show up and you have signs that's intended to degrade them, to stir them up.
Because we're getting comments. Someone said the students don't have to engage to go walk by. Someone else said you need to stop.
They weren't supposed to be there.
And someone said you need to stop making excuses.
They don't. Yeah, and see, that's how it wouldn't even be a conversation that we're never there. Let's start with that. Yeah. Always make an excuse for people when they do what they're not supposed to do. And then they wanted the reaction. They got the reaction they wanted. That's what this was all about. They making a name for themselves. They're a copycat. They were a copycat, want to be Charlie Kirk. They're not Charlie Kirk.
He didn't even do that. Like, go.
These people are only getting like 1,000 views, and now they get like the most views they got yesterday, like 60,000 or whatever. They done start GoFundMe. This is intentional. They didn't go there trying to talk to the kids and have signs that you're wrong about the Republican Party or you're wrong about MAGA. Look at what the Democrats, what have they done for you? You need to really consider seeing the things that the Republican Party offers. That's 2026 election and 2028 elections are coming up. That would have been a different tone than going to the campus trying to insinuate like they're DEI and all that and stuff like that. That was the wrong tone. If you want to show that you are supportive in their higher education and you're there to say you're wrong about the Republican Party, because you had over 2 million black men that voted for Trump, more than I think ever before. And if you don't have the right discussions, then you're going to lose it.
Oh, big. Look up what DEI actually means.
We always, you know what? For all those, for somehow in, what is this, September 2025, still don't know what DEI is, please look it up. Because it didn't benefit black people. Please. There's so many people go on because of the news media that made black people the face of DEI. And it doesn't even benefit us. Please look it up. You can use ChatGPT, Google it, ask Siri, and just look up articles who benefited from DEI. And it's not black people. So there were better conversations that could have been had. They could have went to the institution and they could have gotten a permit and they could have let the students know that they would be there and what the discussion would be about. But why would they bring people to downgrade them and to grade them instead of lifting them up and engaging with them in conversations for their betterment? Those were not supposed to be conversations for their betterment. Those are conversations that they wanted to degrade them. Those weren't conversations about why it's better for them to vote Republican in the next election. That's a poor example of what they did. Poor example. You had 2 white guys show up after following the death of Charlie Kirk, and there were 5 schools, HBCUs, that had to shut down because of threats. And then last week, a young black guy was found hanging from a tree at an HBCU. And then 2 white guys, they're not looking for that. You're going to come and you're going to show up unannounced on their campus. It's too soon for all of that. And then your intentions were not valid. Your intentions were not positive. It was not receptive. They didn't like you. They didn't want to talk to you.
Look at what they were even trying to talk about.
Look, yeah, they weren't trying to engage in any conversation that they wanted to talk about. Who are they? They don't care about they were 2 unknown YouTubers with no following, trying to get clickbait. They came with a bright idea. I know, we'll go to the black colleges. We know that's going to rile them up. We're going to go viral. And yes, they did. So it's all about the intent matters. Someone's coming to your house and you know that their intent is wrong. You're not letting them in your house because the intent isn't right. If you go to your job and you got this boss that you know that's been plotting on you, you know their intent trying to write you up is wrong. It's the intent. And we're not going to justify what they did. They were out of order. They were supposed to obtain a permit. Let's start with that. They were out of order. If you want to do all that, then you do things in decency and in order, and you follow the rules and you respect the institution. You just don't show up, pop up, and cause chaos because you want to put up signs that look degrading to the population that's attending the school.
Well, they didn't get what they wanted because they wanted a student to attack them.
They wanted
the video,
and they weren't touched. They weren't attacked. They were able to lead. The students, like, they were just reacting because they couldn't believe what was happening at the time. But we got to do better. And there's no justification for that. There's a way, if you want to talk, then talk about the things they want to engage with you about. That's what you do.
That's how you lose the black vote.
This is exactly how you lose the black vote. Talk about the things they want to engage with you about. Not showing up trying to push on with some crap that you know that's going to stir them up. You know, they didn't have the discipline in the minds. They're students. And that it was unheard of for something like that to happen. And that's what it was all about, the reaction. You know, YouTubers want a reaction. You get paid from reactions. This was a money grab. A money grab, to build up their name. Oh, we went there and blah, blah, blah. Look how they behave. Well, that was intentional. And we got to do better. And everybody knows that that was wrong, the way that they did it. The way that they did it. Go through the right channels. Follow the law of the institution. Go about it the right way. And then engage on topics that the students want to engage with you about. But you can't go unannounced without a permit, and then you're trying to set up, and it's all about degrading that student body when they're at their institutions that, thank God, they're there trying to get a higher education, but that bothers people too. It bothers people if they're in the ghetto. It bothers people if they're trying to get a higher education, like they should be seeking. We got to do better.
Yeah, Ozzy's disagreeing with us.
We got to do better. We got to do better. They had no right showing up on that campus unannounced. I can't go to my son's college and I set up tables unannounced. They got security, they got everything, and I'm gonna get the students riled up that I'm against trans, I'm against this. That's big in these colleges. I can't just go set up and go against the student body, and especially unannounced, without speaking to the dean and the president of the school and getting permission. You go set up a table at someone's college.
Ozzy, just listen to what my mom is saying.
You go set up a table. They know the truth. They don't want to hear it. Because it's always flipped. It's always flipped back to black people. That wouldn't happen if they weren't there. They got the reaction that they wanted. You're not going to justify them not getting a freaking permit and going about the channels like they wanted to. They didn't go there to engage with what those students wanted to talk about. They went there to cause chaos, and that's what they got. They got. They did that intentionally because they knew they weren't wanted. They knew the students wouldn't want to talk to them. They knew the college wouldn't allow that to come onto their campus. They'll put their students through that garbage.
What they did.
For these unknown podcasters, unknown YouTubers.
What they did is like.
Why are they going to let their school be subjected to these? They weren't political figures or someone that's coming trying to get votes or someone that wanted to engage in a conversation.
What they did is like,
they were YouTubers. They were unknown YouTubers.
What they did is like something back.
Come on now.
Back in the day, it's like something they went there to troll. They went there to make them upset and cause a reaction to get the footage. They were there to troll them so they can get
it was
viral
trolling them. Do y'all know what young people is? Was trolling them.
Which I used to watch back in the day, like trolling.
It was Tennessee. The HBCU was Tennessee. TCU was the school. Now y'all know what that was about. And stop justifying when people do stuff wrong. Answer to God. I mean, come on now. You're supposed to follow the protocol. Go to college right now. Everyone that's in disagreement, go to a college and you set up your tables. And you have the majority of the body say it's transgenders, LGBTQ, whatever the body. And you set up and put up these posters without being invited, without a permit. And how you think they're going to react? These were podcasters. They were YouTubers, unknown YouTubers, trying to get views. That's who they were. What gives them the right to do that?
That's like going to a women's college and having signs speaking against women, like women are quote.
Yeah, going to a college with signs speaking against women. Women.
Women needs to know their role.
Women need to know their role. Don't you think you can get a reaction? Women need to be in the house.
A women's college. Women shouldn't be at college.
Women shouldn't be at college. Would that work better? You can't do. That's what they did. They were podcasters. Come on, they were podcasters, YouTubers, unknown. That was to build their name, clickbait, to make money. They making money off of it. They started a GoFundMe for them.
Yeah.
They started their own GoFundMe.
Raised like 50,000.
Yeah. They went there. Those college kids didn't go to them and start this. They came to them. And this is sad how things are, and people try to make excuses for these unknown people to go there. That's a difference. If they were politicians or people that were community leaders or social workers, someone. At least Charlie Kirk had Turning Point USA. He had a organization. They don't. And you can't justify it. Yeah. There's no justification for bad behavior. And behavior was bad behavior. Their intent was wrong, and it doesn't make it right because they were white to go there to a black college, these without a permit, unknown, unwanted, uninvited, and cause all that chaos and then play victim.
Yeah, they said on their page that they're inspired by Charlie Kirk. That's not what Charlie Kirk would do.
Charlie Kirk had a whole organization. Yeah. That was not them. That's not them.
They had one mission, antagonize the students.
One mission, antagonize the students. And there's people are talking about, I'm talking about white YouTubers that have millions of subscribers are looking at this and they're saying and articulating maybe better than I am. They're not trying to justify this. When temperatures are the way they are, you don't go and antagonize a body of students that are minding their own business, trying to get a higher education, but you want to come with your bull crap to my campus to make a name for yourself at my expense. That's what happened. They are just podcasters. I think we have more followings than them.
Yeah, we do.
We have more subscribers and following than them. We're not on anybody's campus showing up unannounced and talking down, forget women's rights. Y'all need to all be at home. We're not saying women, there's no such thing as women. In all of this, we're not going to go and start these false accusations, conversations.
That's like me as a black man going to my college with a Trump hat on. Like, I know that's going to cause like a reaction and a backlash from doing so. I know that even me being black, I know that's going to cause a big reaction.
You got people on here that's so messed up that they will justify bullshit. Because that's what that was. Yeah. You have free freaking damn speech. But you come announce. You don't just go anywhere where you know can start a riot or chaos. Or go into a mall and just freedom of speech and say fire. There are limits to these situations of freedom of speech. Ask Trump. Ask Trump about freedom of speech. There are limitations. Their freedom of speech was to go and ask you have to get a permit. They don't want to put their students in danger. What if something happened to those guys that came to the campus? What if something happened to some of the black students because of it? You don't know what. I'm glad it wound up being peaceful. They got their asses out of there. But it could have turned out in much more negatively than that. And that's what we don't want to happen. We want to prevent incidences from getting out of hand.
How are we justifying the students' behavior?
We don't have to
The
justify.
students had a reaction to them.
Look at this. We don't have to justify their reaction. That's a reaction that those podcasters wanted. Go to your damn house and somebody got a sign outside saying that I've been doing your wife or your husband. I'm the other woman, the other man. I got a sign. That's freedom of speech. Do you want them outside your house?
Let me ask a question. Aren't you justifying the podcast?
That's all they want to do. They want to justify the podcast, but that could have turned out ugly. That could have escalated. And that's what I'm saying. I'm glad the kids kept enough cool head that they did not attack them. They were just loud and didn't want to show them their discontent, but they didn't touch them. They didn't attack them. Some of them were laughing, playing. They were looking at a joke. So, but they were upset about it. They were obviously upset about it. But when black people are upset about it, they're a mob, they're rioters, they this, they that. But when white people are upset about it, they're exercising their free speech. They're exercising their rights.
Don't forget they're thugs too.
They're exercising their rights.
Yeah.
But when they show emotion, then they're labeled. They are not a mob. They are a school and they are students. And their lifestyle was interrupted by uninvited guests. They didn't even have the decency to get permission. All schools, you got to get permission to come on campgrounds because you have school shootings. You can't just let people come to your campus and you don't know who's there.
Nick,
there's school shootings, right?
Nick,
they didn't know who those guys were. For all we know, who been most of the mass shooters? They've been white.
Nick, did the students touch them?
Who knows who they were? They didn't know who these people were. They didn't know they were packing. They didn't know nothing about these guys. And this is following the threats on HBCUs. No one knew who they were.
None of the students, see, people in the comments crazy. None of the students were violent. The students just
they they're gonna flip it. We don't care because this is what happens in that community. Everything they do is okay. But if you do it, then you're a mob, you this and that. Nobody attacked anyone. They didn't like them being there. Some of them were laughing, some of them were upset. It stirred them up.
One guy he put the camera on and started shouting out his social media.
They shouting out their social media and all this kind of stuff. But the intent was not valid. The intent of the podcasters were negative. It was not positive, and y'all know it. They were not positive. They went there to cause chaos. They went there to antagonize the students. And I'm glad that they held it back because then that would be the news. White guys beating up at black HBCUs. We need a National Guards there, right? Right. But you got school shooters shooting up everybody and nobody talking about it on the news. So you got school shooters. You don't know who they are. You can't allow just people to come on your campus when you got mass shooters out here that are shooting children. You justify that. You have to know who are on your school grounds. You have to. You can't tell who's a mass shooter and who's or not. And those are facts. So y'all justify that. Well, all these school shootings happening look like every other day now. That's why it's important for them to identify themselves and to get a damn permit and to speak to the administration. And if it's not valuable to the students, nobody needs to be there and it's not going to enrich students. But you need to have people identify themselves because of mass shootings. Y'all justify that. People showing up, you don't know what's going to happen. When Charlie Kirk went to Utah, he didn't know that it was a mass shooter there.
You don't think it's acting like adult getting permission to go somewhere instead of just showing up to her intentionally harass?
You know what? You don't have to. They're going to try to justify, make it right, right? They're going to try to justify. But all these mass shootings, you can't allow unknown people to come on school grounds. and especially with ill intent. You know, their podcasts don't know what they're about, who they are, or anything. That's why you have to go to administration to get permission, especially now when you had a mass shooting. You had a shooting yesterday, had a shooting the day before, had shootings at schools with kids praying. You had shootings just at Evergreen High School. You got all these freaking shootings every other week. It's becoming a weekly damn thing. Had shooting yesterday. People have to announce themselves. Don't try to act like they didn't have a... It's like y'all trying to take the responsibility off of the damn podcasters. Like they didn't have no responsibility in all of this. That's what y'all doing. Y'all putting the blame on the students and taking the blame off the podcasters like they had no responsibility in this.
The students should be more responsible.
The students should be more responsible than the older adults that showed up on their campus. They're gonna put the take it off of the podcasters. Completely take it off of them.
Then how about
So anyway, I had enough. It doesn't matter. They're gonna
plan. How about you go to a college and
I want to let us know about
intentionally harass people? How about you do that?
You go set up and see what the cops do with you. You
don't need permission to be in public.
You go unannounced. You do on a school campus. You want people showing up at your damn kids' schools? Unannounced? Really? You know they got to get a permit. You're going to overlook like they don't need a permit. You're going to justify people doing their wrong acts. No responsibility on the podcasters. Going to somebody's school is different than standing outside your house and you want to public speak. They have to get a permit. It was required to get a permit. Hold them accountable. Stop taking the responsibility off of them and putting it on the children. You're going to exonerate them like they had no part in it. We're not doing that. Now I don't speak to you 2.0. I don't care if they black or white. We hold people accountable for their actions.
But you can't speak for someone that you aren't. You don't know what their reaction would be.
Don't know.
Because he's saying my kids will have sense to walk away.
Yeah, right.
You don't know what your kids would.
Yeah, right. Of course, yeah, right. You don't have sense enough to walk away. You're going to justify wrong behavior. Why? You're going to justify their wrong behavior. No responsibility on the podcast at all. We're not doing that. If you want to hold the students accountable, you hold the perpetrators that initiated all of this. You hold them responsible as well. That's what I'm saying. This is not no one damn sided. We're going to be both sides.
We're not going to act like college students are old. Like, I'm a college student. That's fresh out of high school. Those are young people.
They had no business being there, and they are going to justify it till the cows come home. Like, they're going to take all the responsibility off these unknown podcasters that didn't follow the rules of the institution, that they were required to have a permit.
Yeah, they keep saying they're adults. They're not.
They're required to have a permit. They're young adults. They're required to have a permit. You don't go somewhere to incite a population of people, and that's what they did. But you're going to take the responsibility off those older adults that showed up. They had no damn responsibility in none of this, right? Because but if somebody got killed or shot, then it'll be a whole different ball game. And guess who's going to be blamed? 1,000,000 black people are going to be blamed, no matter what. That's how this society is, no matter what.
And I hope this doesn't start more YouTubers to start targeting HBCUs.
If they do, we got to be ready. They got to let them know that they need to be ushered off immediately if they don't follow the procedures. There are rules on my job. There are rules wherever you go.
Yeah.
And wherever you go, there are rules. You can't go to the Capitol without following rules. It's freedom of speech, but you got to follow rules.
Yeah.
So don't try to say, well, you follow these rules, but then you don't follow the others.
Yeah, because this is going viral now. Then more YouTubers could be like, oh, I could do that too. Go to HBCUs and
it's just podcast. They were podcasters trying to make a name for themselves, and that's what that was about. That was about a mission accomplished. And you're going to have people that don't have the decency to even put responsibility on them as well. That's why I'm focused on them, because y'all won't put responsibility on them as well. They were unwanted. Nobody wanted to talk to them. They were shocked that they were there. It was all about shock reaction. Look at the video yesterday. I'm put another one up to see what's going on. You know, if that's the case, we just be doing this and making money. And it's all about the Benjamins. It's all about making money. What they did was wrong. And the way they went about it was wrong. And y'all that was wrong.
Look what Erica
And God is going to determine right or wrong if you won't.
Look what Erica said. She said, most college campuses have college policy that includes both the actual building facilities as well as campus grounds. She is right. They should have gotten a permit.
That's right. So all of you that's trying to gloss over it, you're wrong. But you argue with God about what's right and wrong. That's what they're supposed to do. And don't make light of it, because your child or your children's children or your neighbor kids, their lives may depend on it. Because that's what's going on in the United States of America now. Unwanted people showing up at campuses, and some people are not making it out alive. I could go through just the last month and put different videos up of how many school shootings. So, but we got to do something about what's going on in America, and we got to do what's right, and everybody's going to answer to God. So y'all could go ahead and justify when we're living in last days. They're going to call wrong right and right wrong, and that's what y'all doing. Y'all trying to call it wrong right.
How would you feel?
That was wrong.
How would
What
you
they
feel
did.
if someone was outside your house holding signs up and trying to intentionally harass you every time you step out the door?
Every time you stepped out the door.
That's what they did. They went there to harass them when they're just trying to enjoy college and get an education.
People, the thing about it, God is still sitting on the throne. And no matter what people say, they got biases that they can't be straight down the middle and say, okay, this is a little shaky. Yeah, they should have did it a different way. But I don't agree with the kids. I wish they were more restrained, more disciplined. They can't, it's not even in you to even do that. Not even to do that. Not even to do that. And just like the person that put up, you can read it again, Elijah, what she said in a nutshell about how the buildings administration and all that, you have to get permits to do these things. They're supposed to follow the rules. You got to follow the rules on your job. Mm-hmm. You got to follow rules when you go into a bank, go into a theater. You got to follow rules wherever you go, to Washington, go to the Capitol, and go into schools. All the students learn you got to follow the rules of the school so you could be expelled or suspended. Well, you got to follow rules in society.
And Leroy said if they were on university grounds, they would need a permit. At the very least, they would need to get permission.
And that was university grounds.
Yeah.
TCU. And they did not follow the rules. So please don't justify it. Don't justify it. Just let your biases put them to rest. Not to even hold them even slightly responsible for what they caused. We're minding our own business. Black people be minding their own business. And no matter what, you just want to involve us in the chaos. Mm-hmm. And then when we react, see, but don't hold the people responsible that caused it. It's not, dog. You're not doing that. You got to look at both sides.
Well, bad behavior was them going to the college unannounced.
That was bad behavior.
That causes. See, there's a cause.
But no, that's what they want to do. They when it's black people, it's gonna be bad behavior, mob, thug, violent, all that. You know, we know the label. But people could go and shoot up whole schools, and that was they had a bad day. They had a bad life. Oh, they suffered from mental illness. They got bullies. Always excuses for the most hideous crimes that are committed. So we're not going to do this the wrong way. We're going to look at both responsibilities. And now that the kids, they know that something like this, so they'll be on top of it. Now the schools will be on top of the intentions. Now the schools will be on top of it. The score they're trying. They can't even go to college and get a higher education without you coming to our doorstep, trying to cause conflict. And then when it happens, and then they're looked down upon. Because then now the podcasters, they the victims. They made themselves the victims. So anyway, I serve God. I do not serve man. I'm not beholden to any man. It's about doing what's right.
No. See, you're excusing though the podcasters.
It's all right. They're going to excuse
having
them.
bad behavior first.
But those who are black people that did that, they will be on their ass about it.
Yeah, they said.
But they wouldn't excuse black people like that.
They said no. The black people were bad behavior, even if they didn't have the permission. It's still not okay to do what they did.
Yeah, it's still not okay what the podcasters did. Exactly. How about that? You can't get away from being racist, prejudiced, or whatever. You still, no matter, going to throw it on the students that were where they were supposed to be on campus. Those guys that showed up were not welcome. We can't get away from. Nobody, do your kids behave right all the time? You have perfect children? Really? You have perfect children? Your students always behave properly? Really? Or do they behave like young people? We expect more out of younger people than goddamn adults. You got adults on here 50, 60 years old, but we expect more out of 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds.
Black people are always the fall guy.
And 17.
Very.
Yeah.
We're always the fall guy.
We got to be exceptional, and they minding their own business. The fight came to them, and they're being, they are the ones that's being looked at as a mob or this or that. We're not doing that. Those were students that were disgusted. Those were students that didn't want them there. And a lot of them were laughing and thought it was a joke or whatever. But they were not wanted there. And they skedaddled right on out of there. Skedaddled right on. Just like they came, they skedaddled them right on out of there. But to bring that kind of unrest to the campus was wrong. And y'all could try to justify it all you want to. But I'm going to hold those podcasters because they initiated all of this bullshit. They're going to be held accountable for their actions, just like the students' reactions. I'm so tired of this one-sided justification for everything that one race does, but the other race is like everything is you're wrong about it, wrong, bad. They reacted.
That's why I said we're the fall guy.
The fall guy, no matter what. No matter what. But won't hold the podcasters, unknown podcasters, trying to get clickbait. They just got a little startup channel. You're not going to hold them responsible. Got it. Broke all the rules. It's okay. They can break the rules. Because that was Johnny. They can break the rules. What's wrong with that? It's freedom of speech, right? They don't have to get permission. They don't have to follow the rules. Why do they have to follow the rules? Yeah, it's going to get out of hand. That's their intent. But oh well.
Aren't you going to hold the students accountable?
Let's just look at the students. Look at them. Look at how they reacted. Look how they reacted. They didn't want to talk to them. I dare them not want to be berated and degraded by them. What's wrong with them? Didn't they know that they supposed to be degraded by them? They didn't want any parts of it. They didn't come with a good message. The message board was already degrading them. And what's wrong with them not wanting to be degraded? Isn't that the American way? That you're supposed to accept being degraded? What's wrong with y'all? We got to stop. We got to stop. the children reaction, the young people reaction was wrong. The podcasters that what they did to started the whole debacle was completely wrong. It would have never happened if they never thought of doing what they did. But that's what they wanted. That's what they got. And they got people that's going to justify it. But there's more people that say that it was wrong, including the people that intruded on the campus. And you don't want people showing up at your campus because you do not know their intent by looking at them. They were not students.
One people are, because you got this happening to us. When I checked their videos comments, everyone's like black fatigue, and they went there to make them upset.
They went there to make them upset, the cause.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have people that will justify everything that they do. And look, I know Jesus is coming back soon because everything is flipped. Right is wrong and wrong is right. And when you even see the wrong that's being done, oh, we're not going to look at that. We're not, we refuse to look at that. We're going to justify that. And we're going to hold the students that were minding their business, getting a higher education, doing a great thing. They need to go into the hood. Why don't you set your table up in the hood?
They don't want to do that.
Set your table up in the hood. You take your freedom of speech in the hood. And try to degrade them more than they've been degraded. Take your tables there. But anyway, we're going to continue this conversation because we're not going to justify either or. We're not going to justify. You hold everyone accountable. That's like holding the left accountable for what they do and not holding the right accountable for what they do, or holding the right accountable and not holding the left. You got to hold both sides accountable.
How is this having a victim mentality when it's...
We don't care what they say.
Yeah, they're saying we can't
we don't care
follow God
what they say, because you're going to answer to God. You're not going to justify wrong. God sees your heart. You can lie to men, you can pretend with men, and you can gloss over the actions of people that you know that their intent was evil, and you can make light of it. But that result could have ended a lot worse than what it did, and thank God it didn't. I'm just thankful that it didn't. But with people out there that want to justify these people's actions matter. They matter. They could cause a lot of discord. They could disrupt peace. They disrupted peace. They were having a peaceful day on that college grounds. They disrupted their peace. And they didn't want to be invited. They didn't want for them to be prepared. They wanted, it's called, when you're doing YouTube, it's called reaction. When you want to profit off of unfortunate death of Charlie Kirk, and that's who they say they modeling themselves after, that's what you do. They dragging Charlie Kirk's name. Yeah. Everyone's dragging his name for profit. But people should be offended that support Charlie Kirk. People should be offended how people are dragging his name now. Yeah. Politically, every kind of way the man's name is being, he was a podcaster. Charlie Kirk was a YouTuber.
Then they chose like the most touchy topics to talk about. They didn't go there with the intent.
They didn't go there. Yeah, you're right. The touchy. Yeah. So yeah, they went there to do what they did. And they went there to do what they did. And now they done got $50,000 in donations. Damn. We got to set up a damn table. I'm telling you, when you do wrong, boy, or you're a sellout, you do all this stuff, you become wealthy. You become wealthy. Because people are going to justify, even with all these school shootings, how could you justify with all these school shootings, people coming onto your campus? That's what happened, unfortunately, Charlie Kirk, those school children that in there praying, and this guy gonna come and injured 17 and killed like 3 of the kids, and Evergreen kids died. I mean, this is just the last few weeks. And then you have someone show up unannounced, and you don't know what they are about.
I wish I could ban people because this guy is...
Oh, it's not on here.
No, you aren't the.
It's okay.
Christian
Don't
son.
nobody care. You're going to stand before God and you're going to have to give him an account of everything you said and everything you have done. And I want you to tell God and justify. Now, God, you're going to try to talk to the Creator and you're going to justify with everything that you're talking about. And you think God is going along with wrong, really?
He's going to say to you, I never knew you.
He's going to say, I never knew you. You can't play with God. You can play with man. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to us. We're not trying to change your mind because we know this is the state of this country right now. But you can't do that with God. You can't convince God you're right. God sees the heart. God saw the intent before they got there. God saw the intent when they was plotting and planning on those students. God saw what was in their heart from the beginning. He knew what they were about. He knew the plot. God knew all about it. He saw everything that they were doing, and it wasn't for the good. He saw them plotting on them. Time and when they're going to ride, what they're going to do, how they plotted on that school. They plotted on those students. God saw the plot. We didn't see it until after it happened. The students didn't know they were being plotted on until after it happened. They plotted on them. You're not going to justify the plot. That was a plan. That was a plot. That was intentional. You don't believe, talk to God about it because he saw when they were in their rooms or in there discussing the plot and planning it all out and how they were going to execute it. He saw all of it. He saw the heart. God judges on what's inside, not what's on the outside. That we always look at this. God looks at the heart. So when they were plotting on them, he was there. When they were planning it out, he was there. They will not be able to justify it with God. You can justify all you want to. And you can convince yourself. But you're not going to be able to stand before God and convince God because he was there. And he saw the intent. And he saw their hearts. So anyway, I'm going to jump off. It's time for me to eat.
I wish I could get rid of some of these people in this chat.
So anyway, you got to use the laptop if you want to do that.
Like Harvey and like Summer. I wish I could just get rid of them.
It doesn't matter.
It's a laptop.
Oh, you know you can just go on here. Yeah, so anyway, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. We got to pray for this country, pray for this nation. People that call themselves Christians and they have so much hate and evil and wickedness in them. That's a problem. And then they want to go to church, kumbaya, and have these wicked ways. Yeah.
Jack said it's time to make me a mod.
Okay, Jack, we're going to think about it.
Yeah.
You need to become a special friend. You need to become a member of Speak the Truth 2.0. But we will be back on to discuss this further and what's happening now. But like I said, God was there when they were planning it out. You can't justify that. So you take that with you. We're going to jump off. Thank you for joining us. We can agree to disagree. That's what it's about. We have to have the civil conversation so we can have resolution because we don't need these things to continue to happen because they might not all end well. That I don't want it to escalate. Why? Leave the college students alone. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. They don't want to talk to you. Leave them alone. Don't force yourself on them. Leave them alone. Find someone else to bully. Let them go to school and get their education so they can become productive citizens out here once they graduate. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. Thank you, mods. And we are going to make some more moderators. I love you too. They say I love you guys. We love you too. And you know how hard it is because we know the people who come to watch our channels because we have been totally like pro-Trump, supporting Trump, but there's things that's happening that we are not going to support. We don't go along to get along, gang. We are going to stand on what we believe, righteousness, what God is telling us. We're not going to go along to appease people because of how they or what they feel when they can't look at both sides.
Love you too.
We're not going to do that. We are going to have more moderators and people. We are going to bring people on our channel so we can have these civil conversations, but they have to be able to speak in a clear, concise manner and not be emotional.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That they can receive, that we both can learn and come to some medium.
At least agree to disagree.
Exactly. And then we could go our ways in peace. God says, seek peace. Seek peace. The word is a living word, but people don't want to live the word. What would Jesus do? God was there when they plotted. They plotted and planned. He saw the intent of their hearts. That's what God is about. It was wrong. But anyway, you guys, we will be back on to cover it more. Don't forget to hit the like, share, subscribe. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. God bless all of you guys. And we will be back on a little later. But we want to make sure that we show President Trump because he is our president and he's president for all Americans, for all of us. And you need, whether you voted for him or not, you still need to hear what he has to say.
Yeah, not just the right or not just the left.
Not just the right, not just the left, right. Go ahead, Elijah.
He's the president for all of us.
All of us. So we need to show that respect. He is in office. And, and that's who the president is. So it's a lot going on. And I think we're going to have a lot of other subjects more deeper than this one. I believe that what's happening around the world in America. Watch. We are focused on the wrong things right now. God bless you guys and see you a little later on.